And we begin tonight at 5 with a developing situation. Another local children's hospital is going into crisis care mode over rising RSV cases. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Brittany Falkers. Today, Providence St. Vincent announced it is making the shift at its pediatric units. Yesterday, OHSU, Dornbecker, and Randall Children's Hospital also started operating at crisis standards of care. That means critical care services are severely limited, and some patients needing critical care are being transferred to other hospitals. Randall is also postponing some non-urgent pediatric surgeries. And at Dornbecker, they say they're out of available pediatric ICU beds.
For the pediatric, there are less pediatric beds in the hospital because kids don't get sick at the same rate as adults do. And so they have fewer beds, fewer ICU beds, and therefore the capacity is being strained because of what we've got.
RSV, which is a respiratory virus, causes mostly mild infections, but can get really serious for babies, older people, pregnant women, and those who are immunocompromised. To keep it from spreading, avoid contact with people who are sick. Remember to wash your hands frequently, clean and disinfect surfaces, and stay up to date on those routine vaccinations like your flu shot and COVID-19 boosters. A man shot by Portland police this past weekend has died. Officers say it started with a robbery call Saturday morning in the Reed neighborhood in southeast Portland. At first, the suspect's car got away, but officers managed to find them about 10 minutes later along Southeast Steel Street. We don't know exactly what happened next, but at some point, an officer fired, hitting one person. Police say the victim is 30-year-old Emmanuel Jaquez Clark Johnson. He died at the hospital. Several other people were detained. The district attorney will decide whether this case should go before a grand jury. New information tonight on another mass shooting in the United States and another community devastated. Police say 6 people are dead after a Walmart employee in Virginia opened fire in the store. It comes on the heels of the deadly mass shooting at an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs and the killing of 3 University of Virginia football players. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest.
Today, the rites of Thanksgiving interrupted by the all too familiar rituals of national mourning.
Police say they're investigating a mass shooting.
A gunman in Chesapeake, Virginia, killing at least 6 people and wounding at least 4 more before taking his own life inside this Walmart. Investigators describing the shooter as a 31-year-old man, a disgruntled employee who opened fire in a break room.
We are all praying for the family, friends, and co-workers of everyone that's affected by this senseless violence.
Senseless violence in a state still reeling from the shooting deaths of 3 University of Virginia football players. The alleged shooter, a former teammate who investigators say started firing on a school bus returning from a field trip. Family and friends remembering the victims as role models.
Deshaun was a beautiful flower in our garden. We knew he was going to continue to grow, but God picked that flower.
Across the country in Colorado, a court appearance today for the suspect charged with murder and hate crimes in the shooting deaths of 5 people, 19 more wounded in an LGBTQ nightclub before club patrons, including Army veteran Richard Fierro, took the shooter to the ground.
I didn't do anything special there. I took care of my kids, took care of my wife, took care of my family, took care of my friends.
Now, as family members wade through overwhelming grief.
I still think he's gonna walk in through the door.
Investigators trying to make sense of the senseless. President Biden offering his grief and urging the nation to stand together against the recurring tragedy of mass shootings. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
10 days into their investigation, police still do not have a murder weapon or suspect in the killing of 4 Idaho college students. Today, police in Moscow, Idaho, held a press conference and asked for the public to keep sending in tips and surveillance video. On November 13th, the bodies of 4 University of Idaho students were found in a home. They had been stabbed to death, and all were 20 or 21 years old.
No bit of information is too small, and every tip will be pursued. So far, this information has helped investigators build a picture of the areas of interest and the relationships these four had with each other and our community.
Police say they pursued tips that one of the victims, Kaylee Gonsalves, had a stalker, but hadn't been able to identify anyone. A vigil to honor the victims on campus is set for 1 week from today. Portland police are investigating a suspicious death after a body was found in a burning car. It happened at about 3 this morning by Bradford Street and Baltimore Avenue in North Portland. Firefighters discovered the body after putting out the car fire. There aren't many details beyond that at this point. Anyone with information should contact Portland police. 13 cities in Oregon and Marion County are suing the state over a new set of environmental land use rules set to start next year. Well, they say they support the state's climate-related goals behind the rules. They worry about the timeline and impact. The cities include Hillsborough, Sherwood, and Happy Valley, among others. The rules would limit expansion of roads, concentrate development in city centers, and limit local governments when it comes to setting minimum parking space requirements for businesses. The plaintiffs argue that all that could push future economic development to nearby lower population places and ultimately increase commute times and emissions from drivers. The rules were developed after Governor Brown issued an executive order in 2020 to speed up emission reductions. And you can read a lot more about this issue. You can find that on KGW.com. Let's take a live look outside right now at those busy roads. Today is one of the busiest travel days of the year ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday tomorrow. So that means roads like Highway 26, I-84, and I-5 around the metro are expected to be packed. Brian Clerkley has been talking to drivers about travel plans and those gas prices. He joins us tonight in Southeast Portland. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brittany, well, check out I-84 behind me. It is packed, like you said, with drivers trying to get to their destinations, and ODOT expects all the roads in the Portland metro area to be jam-packed throughout this weekend. And gas prices, when it comes to those, they are going down, but they're still the most expensive prices that we've seen on Thanksgiving. The Oregon Department of Transportation says Thanksgiving is one of the busiest times of the year for traffic, and when it comes to gas prices, Oregon is down 20 cents in the last week, and the current average is $4.56 a gallon. In Washington, the average is $4.60 a gallon. That's down 18 cents from last week, but compared to 1 year ago, the average price in Washington was $3.88 and $3.80 in Oregon. Even though gas prices are falling, drivers across the Portland area are still feeling the pain at the pump.
I haven't been home in 3 months because of the gas prices. Like, it's so expensive.
I've just been keeping driving to a minimum and trying to find other ways to get around, trying to stay in the city more so you don't have to have any reason to leave and stuff like that.
AAA says the national average for gas is down 13 cents in the last week to $3.61 a gallon, and AAA does expect those prices to keep falling throughout the year. And just a reminder, if you don't have plans on Thanksgiving or Black Friday, all metro parks and boat launches are open on Thanksgiving Day and Black Friday, and there's free parking both days. So this includes Oxbow and Blue Lake Regional Parks, as well as Broughton Beach and Chinook Landing Marine Park. Brittany?
All right, good tips. Thanks so much, Bryant. Well, hey, are you hosting one of those big turkey dinners this year? If the answer is yes, well, you already know that it's costing a little more than in years past, from the turkey to the stuffing. As Joe Ranieri reports, the higher price tag isn't keeping people from getting into the holiday spirit.
If the parking lot at local grocery stores needs a parking attendant to watch the crowds, you know it's a wild scene inside the store.
We got every cashier open. The first day we've done that in a long time. And yeah, lines are very long, very long.
The day before Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve are two of the biggest days for grocery stores.
Very busy. The shelves are getting empty. All of the herbs are being bought.
And this year is no different. What is different? The price you'll pay for that Thanksgiving meal. According to the American Farm Bureau Federation, turkeys cost almost $29 for 16 pounds. That is $1.81 more per pound than last year, a 21% increase. But it's not just turkey. The average cost of Thanksgiving has jumped from $53 to $64 this year. Pie crusts up 26%, dinner rolls up 22%, and even stuffing nearly a 70% price hike. We found people who ended up paying more than the average for a bird.
19 pounds.
19 pounds. How much did you pay for the turkey?
$66.
Some even paid more than that.
The only time I've seen more expensive turkey than that is we have a daughter that lives in Switzerland, and it's $200 for a turkey there. But this is unfortunately approaching that.
How much was it if you don't mind me
This is $100.
Despite the cost, many people are thankful
It's a special day, so we're doing it.
for the time they'll be getting with family and friends this year. In Portland, Joe Ranieri, KGW News.